It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports, Pete.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at a stop. I thought I was fine, and then once I got home, I realized it's a lot worse than I thought. I ended up having a ruptured disc. You say you're not hurting, and then an hour later, you're saying you're in all this pain. I just felt like most people would think that I was lying. And that's when I decided to call Daniel Stark. I owe a lot to Daniel Stark. They really got me what I deserved.
The difference is stark.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level, when we shut down, to afterwards was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning, so we love Extraco.
Tervis is all about staying hydrated with style and durability. You can trust Tervis tumblers to keep your drinks the perfect temperature, hot or cold, for hours. From the classic insulated tumblers to sleek stainless steel water bottles, each product is built to last and comes in endless designs to match your personality. Stay refreshed and express yourself with Tervis. Visit tervis.com today and find your perfect tumbler.
Since our founding, we've been revolutionizing hair removal with cutting-edge technology and a commitment to empowerment. The U-Like Air 3, launched in 2023, ushers in a new era of sapphire ice cooling technology, offering nearly painless hair reduction in just 3 weeks. Experience the future of hair removal today at ulike.com, because at Ulike, beauty is about looking and feeling good. That's ulike.com. Ulike. With Ease US, make studio quality voiceovers for your videos online in over 149 languages and dialects, featuring 468 natural AI voices. Customize the volume, mood, and pauses to perfectly match your content. Plus, capture high quality videos with no watermark. Record your screen, webcam, and voice, and save them instantly to your computer. Never been easier to create professional grade videos and voiceovers. Try it today at easeus.com. That's EASEUS.com. Ease US.
Just use AMP-Pace.
AMP-Pace.
Here we go now. That's it. The Pete Sousa Show. We are live in Flower Mound, Texas, up in the DFW with my better half, the great Christy Hunt, as she runs around and handles business this morning. I'm handling business with you. Now, we are remote today because we're taking a trip. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to Charlotte. Quick, window into a pretty interesting story here. So, I told you guys, right? I'm sober. And 13 years ago, I was a mess before I got sober. Let's say 14, 15 now. Part of that, I don't know what to do, Scotty. This is how it's going to be, but for now. Scotty says I'm zoomed too far out. This isn't a Zoom, Scotty. That's where the camera is. And I don't have you in here to Zoom for me. So this is a cool story, by the way. And we're presented by Slovacics. Okay? Savachix is the best of all time. And we love Savachix, of course, all our other sponsors as well. Crawford Austin Properties, Daniel Stark, Injury Lawyers. We say lawyer in the South. So, you know, I got in trouble with the law when I was living in Charlotte as it was related to drinking. Honestly, guys, let's just call it what it is. There was a time when there was like a warrant out for my arrest down there before I got sober. I say down there because at the time I was going back and forth from Philadelphia to Charlotte. This is when I was, you know, in my lowest of lows. And I totally blew off like Charlotte. Mecklenburg County is the county the city is in. And then I got sober. I was 2 years sober. And, you know, part of this program I'm affiliated with is like you clear up the wreckage of your past. And I was talking to my sponsor and he was like, look, dude, you got to go to Charlotte and you got to turn yourself in. And I was like, no way, man. He's like, yeah, you got an open warrant. Like, this is what we do. We take care of the wreckage of our past. So the ultimate mama's boy, I convinced my mom to drive down with me. I turned myself in, right, on this open warrant related to, gosh, drinking and driving is the worst, but that's what it was. It was a DUI. And I turned myself in and I go like into jail. I'm sober now. I'm like, well, you guys aren't going to put me in jail, right? I'm sober. They're like, oh yeah, dude, you just turned yourself in. So I'm like freaked out. I spend the day in jail with like people that are in trouble with the law, which is, you can imagine the crowd in there. By the way, I'm part of the group. I earned my seat in there. Okay. Just like I earned my seat in Alcoholics Anonymous. But I finally bond out and I get a court date 3 days later. And 3 days later, I go in front of the judge and, you know, we have all this evidence, right? I had an attorney that I'd hired. And, you know, the evidence was, or the support to my case was, look, this guy is rehabilitated, right? He's 2 years sober. He went to rehab. He lived in a recovery house. He's now doing work. I'd already started to do work in broadcasting. He's clearly turned his life around. And I was like, I still am like, I try to stay on fire with like recovery and for me, AA. But I try to carry the message. And like at that time, same as it is now, right? I'm going to a lot of meetings and all that stuff. So I sat in front of the judge and kind of told him where I was. And he said, everything is dismissed. Like, this is what true real rehabilitation looks like. This is why we do this. It was amazing. Right. And so I walked out of there with not a thing on my record. And the cool part about this was that, Christy, if you want to move the camera, you can come in here and move it. I got Christy telling me I got to move the camera. So she doesn't want to see these things on the wall. I'm in the middle of a story. Can people stop interrupting me? Like if there's something everybody wants to do to help me out here, just try to figure out a way to do it. Otherwise, I don't need the people coming off the top rope. Right, Bear the Truth? It's my guy. He's with me. So anyways, after all that, here I am now, 13 years sober. I get a call about 6 months ago, maybe longer, from a buddy of mine who's an attorney in Charlotte, and he wants to hook me up with this judge, and they want to have me come to Charlotte to speak to the Charlotte or the Mecklenburg County Bar Association about alcohol and drug addiction and what true rehabilitation looks like. So tomorrow I'm going to Charlotte to take care of that. What an opportunity, right? I get to talk to people about recovery and about what turning your life around can look like, right? For me, it's still every day. I mean, I don't have an issue with not drinking per se anymore, but you're still, when you take away the drink, you're still left with the the human being. We always say, the monkey's off my back, but the circus is still in town, baby. There's all kinds of stuff going on up here that we have to share with one another to keep ourselves free. And one person who we talked about yesterday, who I believe died sort of almost imprisoned in his own cell of emotions, right, was Pete Rose. And we're going to talk to Keith O'Brien, New York Times bestselling author. We're going to talk to Keith about Pete Rose in our next block. And Keith's the man. He was actually, we're going to thank him. He was one of the first guys we had on here when we started this thing. And he's back to talk about Pete Rose. He wrote the book Charlie Hustle, The Rise and Fall of Pete Rose, The Last Glory Days of Baseball. All right, I'm going to fix this myself now because everybody seems to be losing their mind. Okay, there we go. There we go. Okay. Okay, a little better, right? Okay. So, I want to talk a little bit before we get to Rose. That'll be next block. Thanks, Scotty. I want to talk about the NFL schedule. A lot to digest here. We're going to start with our Cowboys, right? Your Cowboys, not mine. But, you know, I know who pays the bills around here. A guy, I'm sitting here in the DFW. We got to talk about the Cowboys. Now, one thing, if you look at the Cowboys schedule, you might get a little sticker shock because you see 4 Thursday night games. But remember, whether they win or lose, we're still talking about the Cowboys, right? So you're not talking 3 of those 4 games that are Thursday night. The first one is an opener against the Eagles, right? Where the Cowboys are a 7-point underdog on the road at Philly. But that is, you see the schedule right there, that is an NBC game, okay? So that's not really your traditional Thursday night, okay? Then the other Thursday night, let's fast forward. The next Thursday, Thanksgiving, November 27th versus the Chiefs. Obviously, that'll be the later afternoon game, 3:30. CBS, so we get Romo and Nance, which is awesome, right? So you get Romo and Nance, 3:30 on Thanksgiving, Chiefs and Cowboys. I mean, can we wait for that? Do we have to wait? Can we play it right away? You know, Patrick Mahomes back in Texas, very cool game there. Then there is one Thursday night. So after that Thanksgiving Day game, the next they play a week after on a Thursday. That is against the Lions in Detroit. That's going to be a 7:15. That is Amazon Prime. So that'll be Al Michaels and Kirk Herbstreit. I mean, if you can figure out how to get on Amazon, those guys will take care of the rest. I could listen to Al all the time. You know, I heard a story yesterday from a guy who's a director for many, many years. We were talking, a guy that I've worked with before at ESPN, and he's not a huge fan of Al Michaels. I heard some stories that bum you out, dude. You know what? Don't go digging for stories about your heroes. I mean, again, we're about to talk to Keith O'Brien about Pete Rose. So that December 4th game, Lions, that's Amazon Prime. And then Thursday, Christmas, that's the other Thursday game they play. At the Commanders, that's a noon kick. And that'll be on Netflix. So everybody hold your breath for that one. Let's hope we don't have another Jake Paul scenario where we're glitching up, because let's be very real about this. The Cowboys playing on Christmas is different than any other team playing on Christmas, right? Like if there's an NFL team that could crash the internet with its fan base, it's the Cowboys. So that'll be an interesting experimentation in Netflix moving further down the line. Redskins and Cowboys, that's on Christmas on Netflix. A couple other big games. You know, the Cowboys are on national television all the time. You know, they play that first game against the Eagles on September 4th. And then the following Sunday, right? Not the next Sunday, the following Sunday on the 14th, they'll play the Giants. That's 3:25 Fox. Okay. So that's Tom Brady. Which by the way, that has become, and I love Kevin Burkhardt, but that's become my least favorite crew of the big time crews. Scotty, you got something?
No, I was commenting earlier this week when we talked about Michael Jordan that Brady hasn't been very good yet. So I kind of love that you said that.
Well, he you know, he's getting there, but it's unfortunately for him,
new profession.
Yeah, totally. And you know, unfortunately, he auditions in front of, you know, however many millions upon millions of people every week. So then you got the Packers on the 28th. That's a Sunday as well. You're at home again, and that's an NBC game. So that's Mike Tirico and Collinsworth again. A couple other big games on CBS and Fox. The Commanders on the 19th, again at home. Fox 3:25. That again will be Burkhardt and Brady. And then this is a cool one. On the 26th, the Cowboys are at Denver. That's CBS 3:25. That's Romo, which is cool. That's Nance and Romo. And then you have a couple Monday night games back to back. So you have, and the reason we say back to back is November 3rd, they're against Arizona. at home again. And so that's Buck and Aikman, the first Buck and Aikman game, Monday Night Football. Then there's a bye, okay, on the 10th, November 10th, which is a great place to get your bye. I love that. Then on the 17th, they play the Raiders, and they go on the road to Vegas. But that, again, is Buck and Aikman. So that's cool in itself, right? You get back-to-back big-time Monday Night Football games. And then after that is the Chiefs on Thanksgiving. And another big game, December 14th, they play the Vikings Sunday night. So you look here, you got, as far as like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 of their 17, I guess, or 16 regular season games are, going to be in some way, shape, or form, the whole country is going to be watching, which is no surprise when you're talking about the Cowboys. But the question now is, like, is this going to be a team that gets a lot of eyeballs watching it and sells a lot of jerseys but doesn't win? Or are they actually going to win this season? Swingler, let's get your take, instant reaction to the Cowboys schedule release.
We're in trouble.
Really?
Yeah. Barry the Truth said earlier he sees 8-10 as a best case. I see like 2.5 guaranteed wins on the schedule. I see a lot of, it's either great or ascending teams the whole way. Just look at the back end after the bye. Just look at after the bye.
Yeah.
The worst team you're playing is the Raiders, who we all think are going to improve pretty significantly with Carroll, Genty, Geno Smith. Like, I think we're all pretty confident the Raiders are going to be improved.
Yeah.
And the only other team that you would think Cowboys would be favored against are the Giants, but who knows what the Giants are going to be by week 18 if Jackson Dart stays healthy. I mean, I don't know that they're going to be good or not, but you've got that stretch: Eagles, Chiefs, Lions, Vikings, Chargers, Commanders. The Cowboys are not going to be favored in any of those games.
Like, wow, we don't know yet. That's a little extreme.
What do you mean we don't know yet?
That's a little extreme.
Which of those teams in that run are in a worse roster position and coaching situation right now?
Well, you're moving towards the end of the year. For all we know, the Cowboys will come out, beat the Eagles, beat the Giants, and beat the Bears. They could be 3-0.
Buddy.
The Giants suck. The Bears, we don't know.
Okay, I agree. There's no shot the Cowboys win week 1 against the Eagles.
Look, all I'm saying is, if there's a good time to play the Eagles, that is the time. That is the time.
Well, listen again.
They're celebrating the Super Bowl, right? Yeah.
The front end of your schedule is not bad. Giants could be favored. Bears could be favored. We're not going to beat the Packers. Jets, you should be favored. Panthers, you should be favored. And then after that.
Yeah, Scotty, but I think
the Broncos are good.
But you're missing my point. And yes, you're right. The Broncos on the road. But if you can, after the Panthers, well, the Panthers are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 6 game into your season. Like, if you can be 4-2, right? Let's say you lose to the Packers and lose to the Eagles, but you beat the Giants, the Cowboys, the Jets, and the Panthers.
If you're 4-2 after that stretch, you might finish the season 6-11.
Oh,
you might get the Cardinals and you might get the Giants again. But
you guys are so screwed up by what's happening. There's so much trauma.
Cowboys are so screwed up. They are.
There's really so much trauma connected to Cowboys fans that you guys can't even give.
Let's do it this way. I think this is a good way to do it too. It's something Colin Cowherd does that I think is actually that is pretty smart. Compare the starting quarterbacks of each of these teams to Dak Prescott. The
Dak
Cowboys
Prescott with a new weapon, by the way. Mr. Pickens is in town. Dak Prescott with the new
still
weapon.
Potentially no running back 1, by the way.
Yeah.
So which Dak Prescott's best seasons all came when Zeke was in his prime.
Okay.
So, I mean, you probably have a better quarterback than New York. You have a better quarterback than Chicago. You have a better quarterback than New York. You have a better quarterback than Carolina. And from there, I don't know.
Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix.
Dak is not better than Bo Nix. He's not better than Kyler Murray.
Oh, come on. He's better than Kyler Murray.
He's about on the same level as Geno Smith.
He's better than Kyler Murray, and he's better than Geno Smith, dude.
Are we sure?
Yeah, yes, I'm positive, dude.
All
Don't
right,
stop. Don't start handing out participation trophies to Geno Smith. No way.
Participation trophies.
I mean, the fact that
He
Geno
had
Smith
the
is
Seahawks
actually
in the playoffs.
the fact that Geno Smith is actually contributing in the NFL does not mean that he's better than Dak Prescott. Okay, that doesn't mean that. And now
me an idea for a segment tomorrow.
And now you've got the Raiders and the Cowboys. Yeah, I mean, look, I Mahomes, of course, the Lions. Okay, who's the Lions quarterback? Help me out. It's escaping
Jared Goff.
me. Jared Goff. Sorry. Jared Goff is like not. He didn't set the world on fire. Dak could be better than him.
No,
he could.
He can't. Jared Goff has played in a Super Bowl and led the best offense in the NFL.
Okay, his team scored 9 points in the Super Bowl. They stunk.
How many points has Dak Prescott's team scored in the Super Bowl, Pete?
Okay.
Hey, Bear the Truth agrees with you, by the way.
Okay, thank you, Bear the Truth. Thank you.
But Bear the Truth obviously agrees with me if he says best case is 8 wins here.
By the way, speaking of Bear the Truth and his interaction during our shows, thank you to everybody. Maybe you're watching this on some kind of clip or a video we put up on YouTube. Thank you so much, everybody, for liking, subscribing, and
We're
commenting.
Almost 10K.
Yeah, almost 10,000. Bear the Truth. Guys like you and Scotty B has been part of the Army forever. That's pretty damn cool, and it's really cool to have people join us every day live. Couple more NFL scheduling notes. Just a couple more games I wrote down that I'm excited for. One of them super low key. Okay, Eagles at Kansas City, week 2, 3:25 Fox. So that's again Brady and Burkhardt. That'll be, I think, the third time Brady and Burkhardt have called a huge game for the Eagles. That is going to be at 3:25. I said that already, I think. So the Eagles got a couple big tests early on. The Eagles schedule is rough. We're going to find out about them early in the season. The week before that, a couple week 1 games that you can't take your eyes off of. Pittsburgh at the Jets, Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers. Now, here's the deal with the Steelers, and here's the theory that I have around Aaron Rodgers and why you haven't seen him get signed yet. I think it's easier for everybody, Mike Tomlin, Aaron Rodgers, the people in his camp, the people in the Steelers camp, to not answer any questions about why Aaron Rodgers isn't coming to offseason workouts or what he's up to this offseason. I think it's easier for everybody if they can sign him maybe a little later. I mean, we're already in the middle of May, right? So I would think sometime around June or July before camp, the official word gets out that he's going to play for the Steelers. And when he does, that means they'll take on the Jets week 1, which will be a lot of fun. That's in New York. And that's a CBS 12 p.m. kick. So not exactly sure who that would be broadcasting that one. Pete Carroll and the Raiders at New England week 1. Remember, Pete Carroll coached the Patriots, did not go well. The coach who followed him, Bill Parcells, and it was rock and roll time. So interesting stuff there. And maybe did Parcells follow him or did Belichick follow? I think maybe Belichick followed him, actually. Either way, Pete Carroll did not have much success at the NFL level with the Jets and with the Patriots. Early in his career, of course, great success with the Seahawks after great success at USC. So the schedule release is pretty cool. A couple things related to the schedule release. Buffalo did something genius. There's a video of Josh Allen talking to the Bills head coach. It's either their head coach or their GM. And he says, hey, man, just use AI to do it. And they use AI, but the AI is Allen Iverson. And it's really funny. Like Iverson shows up. Iverson's like, why am I here? And they're like, well, we wanted to use AI, and you're the only AI we know. It's pretty funny because Iverson plays along. But then conversely, the Indianapolis Colts are taking a lot of crap this morning because what happened with the Colts was they actually received a ton of backlash because part of their – see, what happens is like – and I've been in these rooms before when people try to come up with these great marketing ideas. And honestly, I kind of – subscribe more to, hey, we're a little on the edge with this idea. Like, I think, come on, let's have some fun. And what the Colts did was they poked fun at Tyreek Hill and his hit and run with police. And apparently that was no bueno for folks, right? So that was upsetting to a lot of people who cheer for the Colts. And that has since been deleted. And the Colts organization has apologized to their fans. Couple NBA Cliffs notes. The Wolves won last night. Man, they look so good. They are headed to the Western Conference Finals. The Knicks lost. And if I was a Knicks fan, I mean, it's first of all, I love this stuff because we've seen it so often. And it's one game at a time. Like being down 3-1, if you can win that game, that can get you back to 3-2, especially if you have home court advantage, right? So now if the Celtics can steal one at the Garden, right, without Jason Tatum, but weirdly, it's almost as though that has worked out for them. And the reason I say that has worked out for them is because it's very clear, right, that there was a why last night for the Celtics. They were pissed. They played very hard. They understood, it appeared at least, that, you know, we've been talking about the Pacers and how well they've been playing. And the Pacers offense really has seemed to be, hey, let's just find the open man. It's not rocket science. And it really has been effective for them. And the same thing with the Celtics last night. They moved the ball so well. And ultimately, that can take the crowd out of the game. It can certainly take your opponent out of the game. It can get your opponent tired. And it can take advantage of a bunch of different guys who can make shots, which is exactly what the Celtics have. So now we go back to New York. If they can find a way to steal that game, how the hell do you think it'll be Sunday in Boston? I mean, really, Monica McNutt calls the Knicks games. She's actually an analyst on Knicks radio. I love little stuff like that. Obviously, she's an ESPN personality. And I saw this morning where she said that building last night in Boston was way louder than she had heard it at any time during the series. Like there's a little more of an edge now to the Celtics without Jason Tatum. I'm not here to be like, oh, Bill Simmons, Ewing theory. No. But there is an edge, dude. There's an edge. And it's something real interested. I'm interested to keep an eye on. I want to do one more thing before we get to Keith O'Brien. Let's see tonight, or I want to check out Friday night. I just want to get a quick Scotty, come on real quick. You there? Okay. All right, Scotty, guess the lines, okay? Who do you think is favored? Knicks Celtics Friday night at the Garden.
Celtics by 1.5.
Knicks by 2.5. So again, I mean, they're at home, but that's still, it signifies it's going to be a dogfight, man. So look, good for the NBA, good for the NBA playoffs. I, being a guy who, again, like raised in Villanova, I mean, we basically make up half the roster. And now Villanova has the Pope. So you could imagine there's certainly some wind in the sails of the New York Knicks. Can they overcome after last night's setback? I think they can at home, but they're going to have to win. They're going to have to win Friday night because you don't want to go back to Boston. There's too much outside what you can control in that Game 7 Sunday in Boston. All right, we're going to step aside. We're coming back. Keith O'Brien. This is a dude that really helped us get this show rolling. Just an absolute gem of a dude, New York Times best-selling author, and he's coming back. The Pete Sousa Show presented by Slovacics, of course, thanks to Extraco Bank, Daniel Stark Injury Lawyers. We're talking Pete Rose with Keith O'Brien when we come back.
Overwhelmed by your inbox? Clean Email is here to help. Organize, clean, and manage your emails with powerful automation tools. Say goodbye to spam and clutter and enjoy a stress-free inbox. Try Clean Email today at cleanemail.com. That's CLEAN email.com. Cleanse your body of accumulated toxins and embark on your wellness journey at your own pace. At Global Healing, we provide premium supplements to help your body heal naturally. Combine that with OrganicHemp.com's top quality CBD for ultimate balance. Start your healing journey today at GlobalHealing.com and OrganicHemp.com. Unlock a world of convenience with Mully Box, your one-stop solution for personalized subscription boxes delivered right to your door. Each box is tailored to your taste. Experience the joy of surprises. Subscribe today at mullybox.com. That's MULLYBOX.com. At Toussaint's, we understand that maintaining a healthy lifestyle can be challenging, especially in today's fast-paced world. That's why our mission is to make fitness accessible to everyone, anywhere. Committed to excellence, we adopt a user-centric approach guided by ergonomics and medical science. With a team of seasoned professionals in R&D, design, and manufacturing, we prioritize quality across our entire product line. Visit Toussaints.com today and start your journey to better health. That's TOUSAINS.com. BizChair.com. Your one-stop shop for premium commercial furniture that blends quality with affordability. From ergonomic office chairs to durable restaurant seating, we cater to diverse industries including corporate, medical, hospitality, and education. With over 20 years of experience, we offer fast shipping, exceptional customer support, and furniture solutions that stand up to high-traffic environment. Elevate your space with BizChair's vast selection of stylish, reliable, and cost-effective furniture. Visit us today at BizChair.com to transform your business. At Mitzi, we believe the right light can transform any space. Born from a third-generation lighting family, we craft beautifully designed, premium lighting that's made to be affordable. Inspired by Grandma Mitzi's eclectic style, we're on a mission to make high-quality lighting accessible to all. Whether you're updating your space or adding a unique fixture, Mitzi has the perfect design for you. Beautiful, well-made lighting without the high price tag. Discover your perfect light at Mitzi.com. That's MITZI.com. Mitzi. Founded in 1910, Samsonite is the world leader in durable, high-quality luggage and travel accessories. Made to the highest standards, our products won't let you down. We give you the confidence to get out there and explore. Inspired by the past, devoted to the present, and built to inspire a multi-generational future, Samsonite is here to elevate your journey. Travel with Samsonite and pack confidence every step of the way. Shop now at shop.samsonite.com. The grinder mentality that Randy and Brent Habert built into 44 Pro runs deep within our team. Every member shares a passion for the craft, the game, and most importantly, the player. When you step onto the field with a 44 Pro custom glove, you'll feel the difference. It's not just a glove, it's a 44 Pro. Crafted with dedication, made for performance, and built to last. Get your custom glove today at 44pro.com and experience the 44 Pro difference. That's 44pro.com, 44 Pro. Welcome to Kitbag, the ultimate destination for football fans. Whether you're cheering for Arsenal, Chelsea, Manchester United, or any other top club, we've got your team's colors running through our veins. From official replica kits to custom player prints of your favorite stars like Ronaldo, Messi, and Kane, Kitbag is your one-stop shop for all things football. Powered by Fanatics, we deliver to over 180 countries, ensuring you get the gear you need fast. For true football passion, think Kitbag. Visit kitbag.com today. That's KITBAG.com. Kitbag.
All right, the Pete Sousa Show. We welcome Keith O'Brien, New York Times best-selling author, and of course, the author of Charlie Hustle, The Rise and Fall of Pete Rose and the Last Glory Days of Baseball. Keith, I'm about to go ahead and run your book back now because it's time. I mean, I listened to the audiobook probably a year and a half ago, and you were so gracious and generous with your time to come on and talk to us. By the way, you joined us last year when we just started the show. We had like 0 subscribers. Now 10,000 subscribers. Awesome. Just like you. Yeah, I really appreciate it, Keith. And aside from the stuff I do with ESPN, this show is important to me, and it's really cool to have you involved again. And of course, it's around Pete Rose. My first question for you, in 1989, he's banned, August of 89, by Bart Giamatti, right, in downtown New York. And at the time, Giamatti did not think that would affect his eligibility for the Hall of Fame, correct?
Correct. One thing that most baseball fans and frankly most journalists have forgotten is that when Rose was banned in August of 89, there was no rule in place that said that ineligible players could not be voted on. In fact, when Rose agreed to his banishment that day, and he does agree to it, he does so knowing that his name will appear on the ballot 2 years later in 1991. It is only about 10 months before his name would have appeared that the National Baseball Hall of Fame changes the rules and effectively moves the goalposts on Pete Rose and establishes this new rule that states that only eligible players could be on the ballot. And so when he is banned on that day, Giamatti knows full well he's going to appear on the ballot.
And so why now, 36 years later, 7 months after his death? Why now? I've heard there's 3 people I go to for this stuff. It's you, it's Don Van Natta, and I just get a kick out of Mad Dog Russo. And yesterday he was losing his mind, and I'll ask you about that a little bit in a moment or two. But why now?
I think there are three reasons. First, Rose is gone. Rose applied for reinstatement many times while he was alive. And I understand the frustration that his family and close friends have, knowing that this happens while he's gone. But just objectively speaking, as a journalist, Rose did and said the wrong things so many times over the years that I believe it was hard for Major League Baseball to trust that he wouldn't say and do the wrong things again if he were reinstated while he was here. That's number one. Number two, his family made this application for reinstatement. Specifically, his oldest child, Fawn Rose, met with Commissioner Manfred back in the winter. I interviewed Fawn Rose for my book. She is decidedly different than her dad. She is incredibly well-spoken, educated, articulate. That conversation with Rob Manfred absolutely went differently than previous conversations Manfred had on this topic. And I do think the last issue is Donald Trump. We're living in a time right now where the president is exerting his will on a lot of things. And he made it known earlier this spring that he essentially wanted a full exoneration of Pete Rose. That is not what Rob Manfred has done here. But I think in some ways, Major League Baseball, Rob Manfred have sort of threaded a very difficult needle. They have, in a great many ways, solved their Pete Rose problem. No one's going to be calling Major League Baseball anymore about Hall of Fame issues. Rob Manfred doesn't have to take those questions anymore. Those questions now go to the Hall of Fame and to the Veterans Committee that will take up Rose's candidacy in 2027, and nothing is promised. So I think in a lot of ways, baseball sort of solved a problem this week.
Well, and it sure seems like they have. It's off Rob Manfred's plate. It moves now, like you mentioned, to the Hall of Fame. My question to you is, first of all, the first thing I see as just a sports fan, because I don't even know how I feel about all this with Pete Rose, because he's so complicated, as you illustrate in your book, Charlie Hustle. Folks can get that online anywhere you get your books. But I have to ask the question as to why December of 2027. I think the family, with help from their attorney, is going to appeal that to try to get it sooner. But I mean, that's 2.5 years.
Well, the Veterans Committee, which will be taking up Rose's candidacy, is there to essentially clean up historical messes. Clean up mistakes that were made when players were on the ballot and failed to earn enough votes for enshrinement. And so in order to appear in front of the Veterans Committee, you have to have not only waited your 5 years after your playing career is over, then your 15 years, on the ballot. It's a long time. So there's no need for the Veterans Committee to meet every year or every month because it's the same pool of players. So they're meeting every 3 years, which, feels like a lifetime from now, I'm sure, for the Rose family. But that's the situation we're in. If I have one regret myself, it's that this isn't going to go in front of the Baseball Writers of America. On the day that Rose was banned, getting back to where you started, Giamatti's asked that day, what are we to do with Pete Rose when his name appears on the ballot? And Giamatti said that day that he would do nothing to change the outcome. He would do nothing to influence their votes. And he said that he looked forward, and this is his quote, he looked forward to seeing how the writers judged life and art, weighed those two things together. And, of course, that's going to happen now with the Veterans Committee, but it's going to happen behind closed doors, in a smoky back room with, a handful of people. I think it would have been more useful for us as a culture to have this debate out in the open with the baseball writers, airing their arguments in their sports columns and in their podcasts. And if there's one regret I have, is that we're not going to be able to have that robust conversation about how we honor or not honor people.
Now, do you feel as though, because now we have, it's a smaller operation now. I think if 12 of the 16 of these Veterans Committee members, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, if they vote him in, he'll get in. But if 5 say no, he will not get in. And they're working around an integrity clause, working with, I should say, an integrity clause, which brings me to like, okay, so now like Barry Bonds isn't getting in anytime soon. I don't believe, some of the steroids guys still are not going to get in. Does Pete not get in after all?
I don't want to throw cold water on a situation for Cincinnati Reds fans or Pete Rose defenders, but I do think this last hurdle is going to be enormous for Rose. I don't think it's guaranteed. In fact, I think it's unlikely. But, we'll see. 10 years ago, nobody thought this day would come. A year ago, nobody thought this day would come. And here we are. And if I've learned anything over the years, Pete, in my time researching, writing, and living inside this story, it's that you never be surprised about anything that happens in the Pete Rose universe, because strange things happen, odd things happen. And here we are again with another one. I mean, how many athletes are there in the history of American sports who are making headlines like this again and again and again, decades after their playing career is over? And in this case, months after they are gone. It simply doesn't happen, but it happens with Pete Rose.
With Pete, what was the cover-up worse than the crime? Because that's my thing. I truly believe like he kept lying about it. And even when he stopped lying, he still continued to lie a little bit. And I think in 2015, as I read in a report, I think this was ESPN, and I know you're privy to this, but the commissioner asked him, "Are you still betting on baseball?" And he said no. And then they took a break, and his attorneys were like, "Dude, like you got to come clean with all this stuff." And I can't imagine that the constant lying, right? Like that did not help him. Pete seems like he couldn't stay out of his own way.
Absolutely not. I totally agree. And it goes all the way back to the beginning, based on the reporting that I did for my book. If Rose is honest at the start, it's a totally different story. And I don't mean to suggest that he wouldn't have been punished, but it wouldn't be the kind of punishment that we would still be wrestling with 36 years later. There is in the beginning a secret meeting in New York. Peter Ueberroth, the outgoing commissioner, Bart Giamatti, the incoming commissioner, and Giamatti's right-hand man, the now late Fay Vincent, call Rose to New York to ask him a simple question. They've heard a rumor that Sports Illustrated is investigating a story that Rose is betting on the Reds. Rose is betting on baseball. They ask him point blank, is it true? And at this point in Pete's life, he is, again, based on my reporting, absolutely trapped in a tornado of gambling addiction. And that's what it was. Absolute gambling addiction. He could not stop. And if Rose had been honest that day and looked across that table and told Vincent and Giamatti and Ueberroth, "I've done it. I can't stop. I need help," they would have found him that help. They would have done everything they could to salvage Pete Rose, because in 1989, Pete Rose wasn't a walking scandal. He was an American icon. And this scandal that would come was really bad for baseball. It was bad for America, certainly bad for Pete Rose. If they could have helped him, they would have. He doesn't give them that opportunity. He lies that day. He continues to lie that spring, even when he's presented not with rumor anymore, not with questions, but presented with facts. In a 2-day deposition later that spring, John Dowd, the special investigator hired by Giamatti to unravel this case, lays out for Rose everything he knows, everything he's gathered, bank records, money transfers, gambling records, everything. And that day and the day after, 2 days, Rose lies again and again and again. When I had access to Rose, one of the most important questions that I asked him several times was not something deep, not something long. It was a short question. It was simply, why? And I asked Rose, why did you lie that day to Dowd? You knew that the stuff he was showing you was real. You knew he was right. You knew he had you. And Rose told me that he couldn't tell the truth because at that point, he was fighting, he said. He was fighting for his life. He was fighting for his livelihood. He was fighting to pay the mortgages on his houses and knew that he could lose it all. And I just found that so haunting to think about that. This man who succeeded as a player because of the fury that he played with on the field is going to go down off the field because of that same quality.
Yeah, it's such an amazing conundrum. And that's why some of these guys are so great and off the field, like the rest of us, right? They have some baggage here and there. I got 2 more questions for you. One more, to give some context, right? I'm sober 13 and a half years, right? And from alcohol and drugs. So I know what it's like to be addicted. And, the freedom for me came when I was finally like, this is it. Like, I'm done. Like, here's what I've done. You get involved with a program, you kind of work through it that way. And then you're freer than ever. You have this life beyond your wildest dreams. Pete never got there. In your psychology, was he because you mentioned it, that tornado of addiction, gambling wise, was he just such a sick guy, like so addicted to gambling that he was never able to get there? Because even for me, that's more understandable. I can't tell you how many people I know that have just never been able to break free from alcohol and drug addiction because the pull is so strong.
I think the pull was strong for him. It does continue well after his banishment. We're now playing dime store psychologist here on Pete Rose. But my belief is that he simply couldn't be weak. He couldn't be vulnerable. And again, Pete, when you're trapped in that addiction, the first thing you have to do to find a way out is to be honest with yourself, be honest with others, and admit that you need help. And Rose couldn't do it. He's raised in this, post-war time in America, by a very quintessential post-war American working class dad, a tough father, the kind of man who doesn't say he loves you, the kind of man who demands things. Rose grows up in that house wanting to please this father, cannot be vulnerable, cannot be weak. And I think ultimately that was what doomed him to failure off the field.
All right, one more question for you. One of my favorite things, and I get controlled guys like you and Don Van Natta, like who I can go to for the nuts and bolts and the real information on this story. Yesterday, I was listening to Mad Dog Russo, and he's just out of his mind because of, and you've written about this most recently, that piece on MSNBC, kind of like an opinion piece, that, there are a lot of guys with a lot of question marks and baggage and darkness in the Hall of Fame. The one guy is an owner who was like an owner or commissioner or somebody. He's got a nickname, but he was so racist. It's like, it's out of control. And I forget his name right now, but Mad Dog was talking about him. I mean, can you contextualize that for people who don't know? Like, there are people who were a lot worse than Pete Rose. And it doesn't mean that Pete Rose wasn't bad and wasn't super complicated, but like, how does Major League Baseball, like, how do they explain that you got real dark figures in there, right? Like guys that should be banished forever because they were so racist or, other stuff. But then you have Pete who just had this, who couldn't stop playing and couldn't stop gambling.
Yeah. I mean, the Hall of Fame is filled with every miscreant imaginable, flawed people just like us, it's philanderers, liars, gamblers, cheaters, criminals. They're all there. And I think what's happened here, Pete, is that we have changed as a culture. For 50 years, the first 50 years that the Hall of Fame existed, journalists didn't spill, one drop of ink debating a candidate's moral worth when they were considering them for the Hall of Fame. They debated the statistics. They debated what happened on the field. They debated what happened in the games. It really wasn't until the 1980s that we started to wring our hands over questions like, is this person a good person? Was this player nice to reporters? I mean, these were questions that people started to have in the 80s. And I just think it's ridiculous. And I want to be clear, and this because you've read my book. I make no excuses for Pete Rose's mistakes. The book doesn't either. In fact, if you want to know the depths of his mistakes, you'll find them all in my book, unlike ever before. But I also reject this premise that we are electing good people to our halls of fame I think we need to dispatch with that completely. I think we need to dispatch with the hero worship that comes with it. And I think we need to wrestle with the notion that maybe our favorite players and our best players were just really good at playing a little kid's game.
Keith O'Brien, man, you're the best. I really appreciate you spending the time with me and, just dropping some wisdom. Nobody knows this topic like you, so it means a lot that you will come on and join me, man. I appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure, Pete. Anytime, man. So happy for your success.
All right. Thanks, Keith. Take care, man. All right. That's Keith O'Brien. Guys, I mean, we're lucky to have time with a guy like that. Just extremely informative, also entertaining, and you can find it all in the book. Charlie Hustle, The Rise and Fall of Pete Rose in the Last Glory Days of Baseball, New York Times bestseller. Be sure to check that out. Go ahead and pick it up if you haven't. Honestly, if you're at all like me, I just go to my Apple Books and I buy it there and I listen to it when I'm out on the trail and I run. And honestly, for Keith's book, he has this wonderful woman who's, I think, like a Broadway actor. She reads it. It's really, really good. So check it out. All right, we'll be back with one last segment. We're going to talk to Scotty about the NCAA. Ashton Hawkins now denied eligibility for his final year as it looks right now. That's coming up after this on the Pete Sousa Show, presented by Slovacics.
For 75 years, Nalgene Outdoor has been your trusted companion, fueling adventures and helping protect the planet. We're committed to reducing waste, improving access to clean water, and providing simple, safe, and sustainable products for you and your family. No gimmicks, just durable, well-designed bottles built to last. Join us in our mission to amplify life, not complicate it. Because at Nalgene, what goes into our bottles matters as much as the adventures they fuel. Explore more at nalgene.com. That's NALGENE.com. Looking for tickets to the hottest shows, games, and events? Ticket Liquidator is your one-stop shop for great prices, no hassles, and guaranteed tickets. Since 2003, we've been connecting buyers and sellers, providing access to sold-out events at prices lower than most secondary market options. Whether it's sports, theater, or concerts, our massive nationwide network ensures you get the tickets you want, guaranteed. For the best seats at the biggest events, start with Ticket Liquidator today at ticketliquidator.com. That's TICKETLIQUIDATOR.com. Ticket Liquidator.
I'm Hunter, the founder of Hello Cake, and today we're digging into ED meds. The number one thing we hear is that guys are sick of waiting for ED meds to kick in. Traditional ED meds take about an hour to kick in as they have to go through your digestive system, where Hello Cake's ED medication dissolves under your tongue and works in about 15 minutes. That's about 3 times faster than traditional ED medication. Curious about ED meds? Go to hellocake.com.
InMotion is more than just a name. It's a legacy of innovation. From supplying electric vehicle parts like motors and inverters since the 1960s to creating cutting-edge electric scooters, hoverboards, and unicycles. InMotion is shaping the future of mobility. Whether you're looking for industrial power solutions or accessible personal transport, InMotion has you covered. Explore our products and experience the future of movement. Visit store.inmotionworld.com today.
Is your Mac running slow? Mac Booster 8 is your all-in-one solution to clean up 20 types of junk files, remove malware and viruses, and protect your device. It also optimizes your Mac's hard disk, fixes disk permission issues, and cleans memory, all to boost your Mac's performance to the max. Get your Mac running like new again with Mac Booster 8. Visit macboost.net today.
Finding a sleep sack that my baby likes has been a struggle. The sleep sack from Joy is a major upgrade. It's all natural eucalyptus, which is breathable and hypoallergenic, which is really great for your baby's sensitive skin. And it's made with Climatech, which regulates your baby's temperature. You can also get Joy's crib sheets, which are made of the same super soft material. Joy gave my baby comfort and gave me peace of mind.
At Mapiful, we believe in celebrating your journey, past, present, and future. Our unique personalized products are designed to boost your confidence, elevate creativity, and honor what matters most. From custom home decor to meaningful gifts, we help you cherish the memories that make you who you are. Visit mapiful.com and start celebrating your story today.
Maud Lily is your go-to for stylish and affordable fashion that fits your life. Whether you're looking for the perfect swimsuit for a beach day, a chic dress for a night out, or cozy tops for everyday wear, Maud Lily has it all. Their extensive collection of swimwear, including bikinis, tankinis, and one-pieces, always keeps you on trend, while their dresses and tops come in flattering styles for every occasion. Visit maudlily.com today.
You are back with us live here. It's the Pete Sousa Show. That was, I got to kind of like get hosed off after that. That was like an unbelievable interview with Keith O'Brien. I love when I get to like share a little bit about my story too. Like, because honestly, like I think there is a chance that Pete was just like a terribly sick, degenerate gambler. But, you know, also, I think Keith does a great job of adding some context into like what his family life was like, and you know the generation where he came from, hard scrabbled, right? We don't need any help. Scotty Swingler, join me now. Huge development earlier this week, and we had talked about it. I guess it was it Monday or was it last week? We had talked about Ashton Hawkins. I can't hear you, Scotty.
Monday.
Yeah, it was Monday. So, I mean, our worst fears were not realized. He's not going to Texas
This is
Tech.
arguably worse.
But the NCAA has stripped him right now, potentially, of his last year of eligibility. Now, I was so stoked to read Baylor's statement on this yesterday, which they pretty much laid out, hey, we're going to fight this, and we feel like we've got a resolution coming. And we've seen this before with several players getting screwed, and the NCAA really turning around and doing the right thing. As you dissect this situation and you have a feel for it, I'm curious to get your insight on one, you know, just how you feel as one of the smartest Baylor fans I know. And two, you know, what you think will happen with the NCAA.
First of all, my apologies to Ashton for me bringing in the rumor that he was transferring to Texas Tech. That's terrible.
We covered it. We covered it as a rumor. Yeah.
Well, I did that night. So we talked about it that day on the show. And then that night I sent a couple more messages and I got some buzz about this before it was announced. It was, hey, actually, this might be an eligibility thing. And, you know,
thanks for sharing it with your boy. Thanks for letting me know.
So then they announced it the next day, Pete. It's fine. So then
you're only the first person I text after I see the Mavs got the first pick.
I got you next time.
Thanks, Scotty. Christ.
Yeah, but I just think like the implication here, okay, we've talked about how there's going to be some massive screw ups with the way transfer rules are and all this. Ultimately, what the NCAA just did is they cost Ashton a bunch of money because no idea what his draft stock might have been. I don't know that he gets drafted, but listen, he was Baylor's second leading receiver last year. And if Hal Presley and Ketron Jackson are making money in camp right now, Ashton Hawkins would be making money in camp somewhere right now in the NFL, right? And so for you to say, hey, you're eligible, he signs an NIL deal with Baylor, and now we're going to just take that away from you after spring camp.
By the way, he goes through the entirety of spring ball.
All of spring, yes. He did all of spring practice with Baylor. Did not enter the NFL draft. Was not talking to NFL teams or working out for teams, right? Because he was given this. You can't then in May say, actually, sorry, never mind. What are we talking about, right? And they're not going to overturn Diego Pavia's extra year, which it was Pavia suing the NCAA to get his extra year because he played at a JUCO. Is what then made Ashton, it's the same ruling that made Ashton Hawkins get that extra year, right? And so unless you're going to now also tell an SEC quarterback that he's ineligible because you changed your mind, like this is ridiculous. So I do think, to answer your question, I'm thankful that Baylor came out and said, we're going to fight this. We're going to put our resources to this, right? It's not just on Ashton to go sue the NCAA. Like Baylor's going to step in and get involved. And
Brent Ingram behind a powerful statement out of the Baylor communications office. I love it.
Listen, Mac Rhodes is well respected by the NCAA. Linda Livingstone was just on I think maybe not the playoff committee, but she was on some committee recently. Mac Rhodes is the chair of the NCAA playoff committee, the college football playoff committee.
No, Livingstone is on the Big 12 committee, the board of director.
Yeah. So listen, I don't think it will take much pushback.
Yeah.
Because what's worse for the NCAA? You give Ashton this year that you've already given him, or you hold your ground to keep him off the field this season after you totally royally screwed his opportunity to go play pro. I think the right thing, and just the thing that's going to keep the NCAA out of the headlines, would be to just give him this year back. Bear the Truth, right when we started at 10 o'clock today, said, looks like Baylor's going to put in all the effort behind supporting Ashton in court if needed. Gotta love Mac in situations like this. And then also said, I think this is a good point, by the way. Huge opportunity for Baylor to show they support athletes, prospects who are going to pay attention to this, and this could separate Baylor on the recruiting trail. I think that's a huge point.
I agree. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
If you go fight for Ashton and get this extra year.
Yeah.
Unlike, remember I said earlier this week, why would Cooper Flagg want to go play for an organization that just shipped off their best player?
Oh, come on.
No, but it's the same deal, right?
They're not going to trade him. They're not. It's not going to. I mean,
Cooper Flagg, it might be looking at Dallas right now, going, "Man, is that where I want to play?" Whereas if Baylor goes and backs Ashton here, there's going to be some players that are like, "Okay, I can go play at a school like that."
100%. And I got one more thing for you before we go. Right. And this is a real thing. You can take that banner down, but you can stay up. Okay. Did you see what Rob Gronkowski said about Bill Belichick?
No.
So Gronk said, in simple terms, when we were members of the Patriots, and this is true, the Patriot way, the number one thing to do was to avoid distractions.
Right.
Football, on the field, keep the main thing. Do your job, right? And if you look at what's going on in North Carolina, it's been anything but football.
Yeah.
It's been a weird romance. It's been a weird book campaign, media-wise. And it's been our Bill Belichick, who we canonized. And just talking to Keith O'Brien, the author of the Pete Rose book, the New York Times bestseller, about, Pete Rose's transgressions and the fact that sometimes we just have to understand that our great athletes or great coaches are just that. They're great at coaching a little kid's game or playing a little kid's game. But off the field, these guys are not developed individuals, as we're seeing with Belichick. But what hypocrisy, right? And so that brings me to my last statement with Bill Belichick. Like, can you imagine the negative recruiting that is going on around that area, right? In the Carolinas, outside, in the South, and North Carolina recruits all over the country, right?
I've been thinking about it.
Yeah. I mean, that is like the first thing. I mean, really, and I'm telling you, this because we see it with Baylor. A lot of the ways to get to these kids are to get to their parents, their grandparents, right? To earn their trust. People who are, a lot of times you walk into the family room and there's a crucifix on the wall and there's a Bible. I mean, that's why some guys that are God-fearing and spiritual have such success on the recruiting trail, because they relate. And I mean, it's a very weird deal. And a coach could say, do you want your son playing for that guy? Dating
they're
that
all
woman?
saying it. Yeah. I've been thinking about this for weeks, ever since we first started talking about Jordan Hudson a few weeks ago of we were already asking questions when he got hired of, was he going to be able to recruit? Like, that's the one thing he's never proven in his career. And then it's like, well, if the college game is going to be more pro, and if you're paying players, and you install the Belichick way, then he'll be able to get some kids to buy into that. Sure. I'll make you pro. Sure. Like, there's recruits that would buy into that. They're not buying into it right now.
No.
Because of exactly what Gronk said. He's going to go in the living room and preach, I can get to the NFL with the Belichick way. And they're going to say, yeah, and with your 24-year-old girlfriend creating all the headlines for the program. That's why I said it last week, Pete. If they don't win like 9 games, I'd be shocked if they don't just fire him after next season.
Well, they need the football season to start. Like, there's no fast forward button in life, but they need to get right to the football, because right now it's anything but. And even when he's supporting her, which is what you do when you have a significant other, but this relationship is so bizarre when he's supporting her in a Miss Maine pageant. Like, This is an alternate universe
Well,
football
and again,
fans are living in right now.
I think it would be different, Pete, if he hadn't tried to get her directly involved with the football stuff.
Yeah.
Answer my emails, do the content on social media. Like, if this was a relationship that he kept all the way out of the program, off the field, I think we'd be looking at it differently. Like, it's a little weird, but okay, Bill, live your life. Oh my goodness, Pete, live your life too back there.
So here's the last thing I'll say, right? And this is, a football coach told me this years ago, but women are undefeated. And Bill Belichick is another great example. I mean, they can make the toughest, most bulletproof, most strong-willed guy in the world look like a 14-year-old kid, right? Who's dazzled by the girl in chemistry.
Ryan's next book. We should pitch it to him.
All right, look, Pete Sousa Show. I'll be in Charlotte tomorrow. We'll do a quick intro from the road. Thanks to everyone for watching today live on X and on YouTube. And sorry, I just knocked the picture off the wall, but hey, what can you say? Appreciate you guys. And we will talk tomorrow from Charlotte. For now, goodbye from North Texas. Have a great day.
It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level, when we shut down to afterwards, was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning. So we love Extraco.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at 70 miles an hour. I was injured, had a concussion. The insurance company, they delayed. They were playing games from the initial conversation. They weren't going to help me. The biggest thing I learned through this is that you can't go through this alone. I called Daniel Stark. They were going to help me and everything was going to be all right. Daniel Stark got me 10 times the insurance company offered.
The difference is stark.
We are Rogue Media Sports.